In the summer of 1955, a group of miners from a gold mine near Johannesburg walked into our law office, their presence a storm of resilience in our small, dusty room. The air was thick with the scent of aging paper, and the faint hum of the city beyond our thin walls, but their story drowned out all else. These men, led by Saifo Dlamini, carried the weight of years of exploitation, calloused hands, scarred bodies, and eyes that burned with a fire no oppression could extinguish. They had dared to strike, demanding fair wages for their backbreaking work in the mines, only to face the brutal response of police batons and arrests. Charged with unlawful assembly and incitement under the Suppression of Communism Act, they stood on the edge of ruin, yet their spirits remained unbroken. As I listened to Saifo's steady voice, recounting their stand, I felt a surge of pride and purpose. This was no ordinary cassette, was a battle cry against apartheid's cruelty, and I vowed to fight for them with everything I had. The gold mines were the lifeblood of South Africa's economy, their wealth built on the sweat and blood of black workers. Deep beneath the earth, in tunnels lit only by flickering lamps, men like Saifo toiled in sweltering heat, the air heavy with dust that choked their lungs. Cave-ins were common, claiming lives with no consequence to the mine owners. Wages were a pittance, barely enough to feed a family, while the white overseers lived in comfort. The miners' lives were a testament to endurance, their bodies scarred from accidents and beatings, their spirits tested by a system that saw them as tools, not men. Saifo, a broad-shouldered man with a voice like thunder, was their leader. He spoke of the strike with a quiet pride, how the miners had stood shoulder to shoulder, singing freedom songs as the sun rose over the mine's rusted gates, how they demanded not just wages, but respect, a share in the wealth they dug from the earth. The mine owners, backed by the state, answered with violence. Police stormed the picket line, batons cracking against flesh, boots stomping out their songs. 7 miners, including Saifo, were arrested. Their charge is a twisted use of the Suppression of Communism Act, a law designed to crush any whisper of resistance by labeling it communist. The stakes were high. Conviction could mean months of hard labor, even years, tearing them from their families and their fight. When Saifo and his comrades came to Mandela and Tambo, their courage lit a fire in me. Oliver and I took their case without hesitation, knowing it was a chance to strike at the heart of apartheid's economic machine. We worked tirelessly, the clatter of our typewriter a war drum against the night. We gathered testimonies from fellow workers, their voices raw with stories of collapsed tunnels and unpaid wages. We dug into the mine's safety records, uncovering a grim tally of deaths and injuries ignored by the owners. Our argument was clear. The miners' strike was no crime, but a desperate plea for justice, a demand for their humanity to be recognized. The nights were long, our office lit by a single lamp as we pored over documents, the city's hum a distant echo. I felt the weight of their trust. Saifo's steady gaze, the miners' scarred hands, their wives' whispered prayers. This case was more than a legal defense. It was a stand for every worker crushed under apartheid's boot. I thought of my own people, their dreams buried by laws that valued profit over lives, and I knew we had to fight with everything we had. The trial day arrived, and the courthouse stood like a fortress of white power. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of polished wood and the tension of lives on trial. The gallery was alive with supporters, miners in tattered jackets, ANC comrades, and township folk drawn by the miners' courage. The prosecutor, a lean man with a sneer, painted Saifo and his comrades as dangerous radicals, communist agitators bent on chaos. He waved a police report, claiming the strike threatens the nation's economy. His words were a venom meant to poison the truth. When I rose to speak, my voice filled the room, steady and unyielding. I held up a miner's helmet, its surface scuffed and dented, and told the court what it represented. Lives risked daily, families left hungry, men treated as less than human. These men are not criminals, I declared. They are workers who built this nation's wealth, yet are denied their share. Their strike is a cry for justice, not a crime. I cited the mine's safety failures, the deaths swept under the rug, the wages that mocked their toil. I challenged the suppression of communism at itself, calling it a tool to silence the voiceless. The gallery stirred, a low rumble of agreement, and I saw a flicker of unease in the prosecutor's eyes. The judge, a stern figure in black robes, listened with a face like stone. His verdict came as a mixed blow. 3 of the 7 miners were acquitted. Their charge is dismissed for lack of evidence, a small victory, a crack in the system's armor. But Saifo and the others were convicted, sentenced to 3 months of hard labor. As the guards led them away, Saifo raised a clenched fist, his eyes locked on mine, a silent vow to keep fighting. The gallery erupted in song, a freedom anthem that shook the walls, and I felt a surge of pride. We had won something greater than a verdict, a spark of defiance that would not be quenched. The miners' case rippled beyond the courtroom. News of their stand spread through townships and mines, carried by word of mouth and smuggled pamphlets. The partial acquittal was a rare triumph, proof that the system could be challenged. More workers joined the ANC, inspired by Saifo's courage and our fight. The strike became a symbol, a reminder that even in defeat, we could shake the foundations of apartheid. In the weeks that followed, whispers of new strikes echoed from other mines, each one a thread in the growing tapestry of resistance. In the quiet of our office after the trial, the cities hum a faint pulse. I reflected on what we had achieved. The miners' scars, their songs, their unyielding spirit, they were my fuel. Saifo's raised fist stayed with me, a beacon in the darkness. We had not saved them all, but we had lit a fire that would burn on. The road to justice was long, but every step, every case, every stand brought us closer to freedom. To you who hear this story, let the miners' courage stir your soul. Whatever chains bind you, whatever injustice you face, stand tall and raise your voice. Your fight, like theirs, is a spark that can ignite a movement. Let it burn bright, and let it light the way to a world where all are free,